Here's the number one secret wrestling journalists don't want you to know. So the third and final topic is my stalker. Yeah, I have a stalker that is obsessed with me, and it's over wrestling. And I totally understand that if you don't like someone's opinion, you don't have to force your opinion and or whatever facts you have, if you want to call them facts, onto somebody else in a berating manner as if you are my parent or an authority figure, because they really do come about, your comments, they really do come about as an authority figure that you have to be completely right and no one else can question you. No one else can give a different perspective or a different mindset. Also, I would like to state for the record that I do not like doing this. I do not like talking about things like this because in the long run, I don't know if anything is going to change. If anyone out there is listening, maybe this can help you in your personal life if you're going through something like this and you have a stalker who is obsessed with you and you block them, move on, but they still talk about you and try to teach you something that you already know. You know, again, I don't like doing this. I rather all of us in the podcasting world lift each other up, lift the different voices and perspectives that we have up. But again, when you write something that is completely out your ass, I might just bring attention to it because it makes no sense. Just like this whole entire podcast theme is, yeah, you're trying to know what the number one secret is for wrestling journalists that don't want you to know. But at the same time, it's also about learning that you don't believe everything that you read. And it's also about, please do not talk shit to paint a narrative that only you want. So let's read into this tweet. It goes, Marie maybe should unblock everyone if she is wanting to hear the constructive criticism that she says she wants. Let me clarify something. There is a difference in asking for feedback when it comes to my podcasting, when it comes to my writing. I do not ask for constructive criticism for how the structure of my podcast is, how the format is, because this is me. It represents me and how I want to go about and make my content. And I don't ask for constructive criticism on my writing because that's also another outlet of how I want to present stuff. So if I want to play around with certain grammar rules and break it and present a different way of looking at the writing, then I'm going to do that. What I do ask for is feedback. What did you enjoy? What you didn't enjoy? Do you think I have to improve on this, improve on that? That doesn't necessarily mean constructive criticism on how I say things or how I do things. That's more like if you're telling a cook, like, hey, this time around you put too much salt and I can't take too much salt because I have high blood pressure or something that the chef didn't know. Something like that, where you're informing the creator, like, hey, this felt off. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but I'm going to let you know that at this point in time, your content felt off. Are you okay? Not something where you are rearranging and dictating the content to your liking because that's how you know how to explain something. That's not what I'm asking for. Whenever I say I want other people's opinions, you could give your opinions. You could also give constructive criticism on the promotions that you want to see improve. But at the same time, don't completely bury people. Don't completely tarnish people. And my stalker has a history of tarnishing wrestlers. Second part of that is She says that she offers it up to AEW, but then doesn't like it when people educate her about AEW history. AEW history is 3 years old. I was a day one AEW fan since its inception. Even before AEW got off the ground, I talked with Matt and Nick and I told them about me going to WWE. I told them that I brought their Elite book bag that says Elite runs the world or Elite changes the world, that book bag with all of their names on it. And I took that to WWE. So they know that story. I met with Cody Rhodes. I met with Brandy. And I also met with Kenny Omega way before AEW started. So knowing that, and then knowing that AEW is 3 years in, what kind of history are you going to educate me on? That's the thing that I didn't like about our interactions, is that you want to educate people so bad that it comes off as pushy, comes off as a parent, comes off as authority, and then you bash wrestlers. And then you want to say, oh, my source this, my source that. I have to call my source. I have to do this. Like, I don't know what your obsession is with wanting to be right and just wanting to silence my voice when I know a lot more wrestling than most. Look at wrestling as a sport. I comment on wrestling as a sport. And I review wrestling and write about wrestling as a sport, as a kayfabe. And I try to teach everyone that wants to listen. They don't have to listen. They don't have to follow me. If they want to follow me and they want to learn about wrestling and they want to enjoy it on another level where it's not just being in a bubble and being like a robot and trying to be like this source here, that source here, that does this. If you don't want any of that and you just want old-fashioned, true to the kayfabe source, you come to me, Marie Shadows, the Square Circle Podcast, because I break down wrestling for you to understand it a little bit better. I break down wrestling for you to appreciate storylines a little bit more. And I do my research if I have to do my research just to make sure I get the timelines right, just to make sure that I get everything right. So again, what can my stalker possibly teach me about AEW history that really does not make any sense to the conversation, especially if I'm trying to break down the flaws of AEW and build it back up so that way they have easy solutions to implement to make a better programming show. That's the thing that I don't understand. Why do you still talk about me when I don't talk about you anymore? I already ended it with my rebuttal back to you in a 24-hour time frame because you decided to rebuttal against my points of an AEW podcast episode. And if anyone's interested, I will leave that link down in the description below so you guys can listen to it. But moving forward, I really don't like doing this. I really don't like putting anyone on the spot because I like to uplift voices. I like to uplift the workers, the podcast content creators that do the work, that put in the time and the effort on top of maybe their day job, their part-time job, and they really love it and they really want to keep the sanctity of what is kayfabe in professional wrestling and make sure that wrestlers get a proper platform, because the dirt sheets and everyone else around is making wrestling feel like very shitty. Like, why should we be here? Well, we're still here because we love professional wrestling and we adore it and we want the wrestlers to live their dream the same way that podcasters want to live their dream. So I'm going to continue to uplift voices. You can continue being mad that you're blocked, and you're blocked for a very good reason. And it's your attitude. It's how you come out at people. It's how you think that everything is 100% right in your way. And there is no room to try to understand different people's opinions or perspectives. Because I'm not in this game to be like, you got to listen to me because I'm a numbers person. You got to listen to me because I am a sources person where I have 100 sources, but I can't tell you who they are, but I got sources. Trust me, bro. I'm not that. I am a wrestling analyst. I am a wrestling interviewer. I love wrestling. I podcast about the sport of wrestling and I let you guys know about how wrestling can improve because I love it so much. I don't clout chase. Everyone else clout chases. I don't. I'm only putting this in a spotlight because somewhere along the line, everyone forgot how to be friends. Everyone forgot how to be truthful. Everyone forgot how hard and lonely this journey is, especially in the podcasting world, in the content creation world. Not a lot of content creators make it past the 3-year mark. Just a simple Google search. Just a simple thing that everyone knows. And it feels like every day on the Twitter app, someone is having drama with somebody else. It feels like every day on the Twitter app, someone is arguing with everyone else. It just feels like a total meltdown. And this is the bad side of social media when it's supposed to be uplifting everyone and making sure that wrestling is going to be in good hands. And wrestling is not going to be taken over and strangled by numbers, whether it's true or not, being strangled by other people's opinions that you don't have to respond to, that you don't have to say anything to, because the person that is giving you the information should be an expert in their field of expertise, right? Should be. But if you don't agree with it, you don't have to give your opinion if you're not going to add anything onto it. If you're going to give your opinion and just call them names and just say irrelevant shit, don't say anything at all. If you're not going to give value, the podcaster or content creator that has their 100 followers who are loyal to that person, that will tune in every single time, that will buy the merch, that will retweet them, that will put them on a pedestal. Those are the loyal people that you should be worrying about. Anyone else that want to come after you to talk some shit, they're probably not going to stick around for much longer. So, we forgot how to lift each other up. And we should all be lifting each other up because we all have different perspectives and opinions that could help grow the business. Sure, you're not listening to like everyone's idea because not everyone's idea is golden, but there are like really good nuggets out there that I'm like, yo, your idea is good. Your idea is good. Like, they don't get enough love. They don't get enough recognition. And then sometimes people just want to ride your name. That's all it is. And this is me talking from the heart. This is me with my observation. And this is me being truthful. And I realize that, if I'm not able to speak my truth, but other people are, then that's not equal. That's not balance. I am one person. I have my opinion. Again, you don't have to respond to it. You don't have to acknowledge it. The people that ride with me for what I say, what I do, how I treat them, I see you. I know you guys. I love you guys. You guys are the greatest thing that keeps this thing going. But on the flip side, if you don't want to listen to my stuff, that's okay. That's all right. That's that inner peace that I have, that maturity that I have. And again, you might disagree that I may not have that maturity, but that's on you. If you're not willing to take the time to come into my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Maria_shadows, and see what I do for my community, make sure my community is good and we have a good time. We laugh, we watch wrestling, we talk about wrestling. Sometimes we game over there, but not too much. If you're not willing to put in the effort to go to where the content of Marie Shadow Square Circle podcast is at, then don't mention me. Simple as that. If you're upset that I blocked you, you're staying blocked most likely. unless something can convince me otherwise, but that's a very slim chance. And I guess it's the same way for everyone else that has me blocked and or muted on the AEW side. So with that being said, I honestly do not like bringing this kind of stuff up because it is no one's business, really. It really isn't. The only reason why I'm sharing this with you is because in a world that is already lonely, that is already dark, that whatever else you want to add on to that, I'm only bringing this up because you want to throw stones and sticks at somebody that will not yield to you, that will not have you get your way, and you want to force your way with what you say because you don't understand someone's wrestling opinion, someone's wrestling perspective. It is not that serious. It is not that deep. I try very hard to understand other people's perspectives and opinions. But the moment that it starts to become like a screaming match, like you're completely wrong on all of these things. And when I see regurgitated stuff rather than the free thinking that we all have free thinking. If I don't see any free thinking, then yeah, after a while, I don't feel like being berated on stuff that you think is wrong, but I've never said it was right, like 100% right. So, with that being said, I am going to be moving forward and I'm going to be uplifting voices in the wrestling community. That is what I'm going to be doing. That's what I've always been doing. I've never mentioned you once, just so you know. Ladies and gentlemen of the Square Circle podcast, I know you've been waiting forever to know about that number one secret. Well, here it is if you haven't figured it out by yet. Wrestling media and everyone else on Twitter reads everything. Every single tweet gets read because there's a reply to it or there's a quote tweet to it. So everybody reads something, even though the length of a Twitter tweet is about 20 minutes long for it to stay relevant until like something happens, until some activity happens. So what I didn't believe with the story of Jericho going into Punk and saying he's a cancer to the locker room, that was by the fans' tweets. The fans were saying that. And so when you don't have a story to send out, when you don't have the information to send out, you just create something and you take it from the fans and you sort of repurpose the content and put it behind a paywall and be like, oh, it's brand new news. You guys got to check it out. Because you have to remember that that's way out of character for Chris Jericho to say to CM Punk about, you are a cancer to the locker room. That's way out of character. So yeah, they read your tweets, they repurposed it, they put it behind a paywall for $5 to $13, and there you go. Before anyone says that I am a liar, all you got to do is just Google content creation. How do I make more content? Anything of those lines, because if you search on Google how to make money, you're going to get a lot of repetitive websites, and every single website is going to have at least the same sort of talking points of how to make money. And that is what wrestling journalists do. If they don't have something, if they don't have a lead on something, sometimes your tweets are taken and repurposed. So yeah, you can Google it and it'll be the same thing. It will tell you how to repurpose your content. Like, I've been told that I can take this one podcast episode, break it up and do short form, and I could put it on YouTube as a YouTube short. I could put it on TikTok, Instagram. I could put it on any other platform because I could repurpose it. And that is what they do. So that's the number one free secret of wrestling journalists, that they repurpose stuff and they definitely read your tweets and they put it out there behind a paywall. And if you enjoy that free content, please make sure to leave a tip. If you thought it was helpful, if any of this resonated with you, that would be great. So you can leave a tip over at paypal.me/Marie Shadows SCP. You can also follow me on Twitter at Marie_Shadows. If you want to, you can sign up for free over at my Substack newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com. That newsletter is a reader support newsletter with free and paid content. And lastly, you can head over to twitch.tv/Marie_Shadows, where we watch wrestling, we talk wrestling, we are community. I make sure my community is good and we just have a good time over there. So twitch.tv/Marie_Shadows, marieshadows.substack.com, paypal.me/Marie Shadows SCP. If you enjoyed this, leave a tip. And then on Twitter at Marie_Shadows. All right, guys. You have been listening to an episode of the Square Circle podcast. This is a news, rumors, and update special edition of the Square Circle podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and I'll see you guys on the next one.